Imagine feeling an earthquake, like 3 days before the ground actually even shakes.
Oh, wow.
Right. And not because you're suddenly psychic or anything, but because some system noticed a microscopic drop in barometric pressure halfway across the world and then correlated that with, I don't know, a subtle shift in deep-sea thermal vents.
It's wild to think about.
It is. It knew exactly what was coming
Mm.
because we are so used to believing that human safety relies on, well, brute force, basically.
Yeah, like building a stronger wall.
Exactly, a stronger wall or a bigger dam.
Yeah.
But the future of our survival seems to be entirely invisible. It relies on seeing the connections between things that, to us anyway, look completely unrelated.
We're really standing at the edge of a profound shift in perception here. I mean, for our entire history, humanity has just relied on our own biological senses, right? And the
Yeah.
linear models we can build to understand the world. But now we're handing that observation over to systems that can perceive reality in a multidimensional way that we we just cannot replicate it.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We have a seriously fascinating stack of dispatch notes for you today, all dated Sunday, June 14, 2026.
Really dense stack today, yeah.
Very dense. And our mission here, for you listening, is to map out how artificial intelligence is rapidly transitioning from this theoretical, behind-the-scenes tool into a fundamental pillar of human survival, our society, and surprisingly, our self-expression.
Which is the part that really caught me off guard.
Oh, definitely. We'll get to that. But okay, let's unpack this. We are starting with a massive breakthrough in planetary defense coming out of a leading university.
Right, the new climate model.
Yeah. Researchers just unveiled an AI model that predicts natural disasters. So
Yeah.
hurricanes, earthquakes with just unprecedented accuracy.
It's a huge leap.
And they are actively collaborating with government agencies right now to integrate this into global early warning systems. The stated goal here in the dispatch is saving lives and, obviously, mitigating the catastrophic economic impacts of these events.
And the mechanism driving this, it isn't just a faster version of what we already do. It is a deep learning architecture, analyzing incomprehensibly large, disparate data sets simultaneously.
Like what kind of data?
Well, climatic patterns, seismic activity, ocean salinity, you name it. We are looking at a fundamental rewiring of the human experience here because it shifts us from, reacting to the planet to anticipating it.
See, that sounds incredible on paper, but I really have to challenge the premise here.
Okay, go for it.
I mean, we already have supercomputers running complex meteorological models, right? We have dedicated seismology arrays literally all over the globe.
We do, yeah.
And they use the laws of physics and fluid dynamics to predict storms and fault line stress. So why exactly is a deep learning algorithm outperforming a physics-based supercomputer model?
That is the big question.
To me, reading these notes, this AI sounds less like a forecaster and more like a planetary weather vane, or almost like a central nervous system for the Earth itself.
I love that analogy. And what's fascinating here is the mathematical elimination of data silos.
Data silos.
Yeah, a traditional physics-based supercomputer model requires a human to explicitly tell it which variables matter.
Okay, so it's still the bottleneck.
Exactly. A human scientist has to say, calculate the interaction between atmospheric pressure and sea surface temperature. But the Earth is a single, chaotic, deeply interconnected system. It doesn't respect our academic boundaries.
Right. The Earth doesn't know what a meteorology department is.
Precisely. So what deep learning does is ingest billions of data points without human bias regarding what is actually important. It constructs a high-dimensional map, what we call a latent space, where it finds nonlinear correlations.
Okay, but give me a tangible sense of how that high-dimensional mapping actually works in this context.
Yeah.
How is it finding a pattern that a whole team of human scientists misses?
Think about it as a web of vibrations. An AI might detect a microscopic alteration in the migration patterns of certain deep-sea marine life.
Marine life.
Yeah, marine life. Combined with, say, a fractional change in atmospheric density over a desert, and maybe a specific low-level harmonic tremor in a tectonic plate.
So 3 completely unrelated things.
Unrelated to us, yes. No human scientist would ever put those 3 data sets into the same physics equation because they belong to completely different disciplines. You have marine biology, meteorology, and geology.
Ah, I see.
But the neural network simply sees the underlying mathematical relationship. It doesn't need to know the laws of physics to recognize that when variables A, B, and C align in this specific geometric pattern, variable D, an earthquake, always follows 72 hours later.
Wow. So it just bypasses human logic entirely and relies on pure statistical correlation across millions of variables.
It does. And by integrating this directly into government early warning systems, I mean, the societal implications are massive.
I can imagine.
You were talking about moving global supply chains days before a port is destroyed, or evacuating millions of people without the absolute panic of a last-minute scramble.
Which changes everything.
It changes our fundamental relationship with nature. We start bracing for impact and start maneuvering around it.
That is wild. And, if an algorithm can untangle the chaotic, deeply interconnected systems of the entire planet to find a hidden disaster, it stands to reason it could untangle the only other system we know of with that same level of chaotic interconnectivity.
The human brain.
Exactly, the human brain. Which brings us to the next dispatch in our digest today, moving from macro-physical threats to microbiological ones.
A really natural pivot, actually.
Yeah, so there's this groundbreaking medical study just published, and it shows an AI tool detecting the early signs of Alzheimer's disease from routine brain scans with remarkable precision.
Routine scans, yeah, that's key.
Right, and the source explicitly notes that it identifies patterns that completely escape the human eye.
The transition from mapping tectonic plates to mapping neural pathways, it relies on the exact same underlying mechanism.
The anomaly detection.
Yes, anomaly detection in complex networks. Only here, the stakes are deeply, deeply personal.
And here's where it gets really interesting to me. I want to look at the practical application of this. A typical radiologist looks at an MRI to find obvious structural issues, right? Like tumors, lesions, severe tissue shrinkage.
Things that are physically apparent.
Exactly. But this AI acts as almost like an invisible specialist hovering over the shoulder of every general practitioner who orders a scan.
It's a great way to visualize it.
But I have to ask, though, based on the notes, does this really democratize healthcare, as the researchers claim? Or does it just create a new premium tier of medicine where, the wealthy get the predictive AI overlay and the rest of us get the standard human read?
It's a very valid concern, but the source material is highly optimistic about democratization, specifically because of the cost curve of software.
Okay, how so?
Well, unlike training a human neurologist, which takes over a decade and hundreds of thousands of dollars, duplicating an algorithm costs fractions of a cent.
Oh, right. Copy and paste.
Exactly. Once the model is validated, it can be deployed to a rural clinic in a developing nation just as easily as a high-end research hospital in a major city. But to really understand why it outperforms the human eye, we have to look at how neurodegenerative diseases actually progress.
Right, because they start functionally before they start structurally, correct?
Yeah.
Like the brain stops communicating efficiently before it actually physically shrinks.
Precisely. And that's precisely the opposite of what a human is trained to see.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, a human eye on a standard grayscale MRI is looking for atrophy, dead, or missing tissue. But by the time Alzheimer's causes visible atrophy, the cognitive decline is already severe. The damage is done.
It's too late.
It's too late. This AI, though, is trained on tens of thousands of scans to understand the mathematical baseline of a healthy brain network.
So it's looking for tiny deviations?
Yes, it is looking at pixel-level variations in tissue density and really subtle shifts in how water molecules diffuse through the brain's white matter. It detects the biochemical degradation of the neural highways years before the physical structure collapses.
So it is finding the harmonic tremors in our brain before the biological earthquake hits.
Exactly that.
That's just incredible. And the source emphasizes that the medical community and the study authors are thrilled because it buys patients the one resource they just cannot manufacture, which is time.
Time is everything with neurodegeneration.
Time for lifestyle interventions, time for clinical trials, to slow the progression before the damage becomes irreversible.
It really changes Alzheimer's from a sudden cliff you fall off into a gentle, manageable slope. It is a profound triumph for proactive medicine.
So, okay. We have this AI predicting our natural disasters so our homes do not collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And we have it predicting our internal diseases so our minds do not collapse.
We're doing pretty well.
We are safe and we are healthy. But on Monday morning, we still have to wake up and do something, right? We still have to make a living.
Ah, yes. The workplace.
Yes. And our sources today point to a massive, very heated global debate about the ethical implications of AI reshaping the job market.
The cognitive industrial revolution is officially here, and honestly, the disruption is moving faster than policy can track.
The digest highlights a stark duality here. On one hand, We have the potential for massive enhancements in productivity and the creation of entirely new job sectors.
Which is the optimistic view.
Right. But running parallel to that are immediate severe concerns about job displacement. Policymakers and industry leaders are supposedly being urged to collaborate on strategies for a, quote, fair transition to balance economic growth with human well-being.
It's a tall order.
It is. So what does this all mean? I really have to call out what looks like a glaring contradiction in the text here.
Let's hear it.
Industry leaders are incentivized by efficiency and profit, which often means reducing headcount. But policymakers are incentivized by employment and social stability. A fair transition sounds like a lovely piece of corporate PR, but isn't there a fundamental, unresolvable tension there?
There is absolutely a tension there. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that tension is the defining economic battleground of this decade.
Right.
Historically, industrial revolutions are violently messy. They are never fair to the generation caught in the middle. I mean, the transition from agrarian societies to industrial ones displaced millions and caused massive social unrest before it eventually raised the global standard of living.
So we're looking at a repeat of that.
Well, the source document today isn't just corporate PR. It is a genuine panic button being pressed by economists who realize we really cannot afford a repeat of that historical trauma.
Especially because the speed of this revolution is exponential, whereas, the steam engine took decades to fully penetrate the market.
Yes, exactly. The speed means displacement will outpace natural market correction. If left entirely to market forces, capital efficiency will win and human well-being will plummet.
Which policymakers obviously want to avoid.
Right. The collaboration the source is urging is an attempt to artificially manage the pace of automation while aggressively funding upskilling. But the concept of upskilling itself has fundamentally changed.
Yeah, let's drill down into that, because for years, upskilling basically meant teaching a factory worker to write code.
Learn to code, yeah.
Right. But these algorithms are already writing code faster than human engineers. They're drafting legal contracts, they're summarizing financial reports. If AI is taking over the routine cognitive labor, what exactly are we upskilling human beings to do?
We have to pivot human labor toward the areas where the algorithm is entirely blind.
Now, where's that?
Well, AI is a statistical prediction engine. It does not possess empathy. It does not understand context outside of its training data, and it cannot navigate complex, high-stakes human emotions.
Okay, so emotional intelligence.
Yes. The upskilling mentioned in the sources points toward jobs requiring high emotional intelligence, complex strategic problem-solving, and ethical reasoning.
I'm trying to visualize what that actually looks like in practice. Let's take the medical field we just talked about.
Yeah.
If the AI is doing the diagnosing, what does the upskilled human actually do in that clinic?
Okay, picture a hospital ward entirely managed by AI for diagnostics and treatment protocols.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
The role of the human nurse or doctor shifts entirely. They are no longer spending half their shift charting data or analyzing lab results.
Because the AI does that instantly.
Right. Their entire job becomes patient advocacy, translating complex, probabilistic AI diagnoses into empathetic human conversations, managing the psychological trauma of the patient's family, and making the nuanced ethical calls that an algorithm just cannot make.
Like what kind of calls?
Like deciding when to transition a patient to palliative care based on their personal values and not just their physical metrics.
Wow. So the focus shifts from the administration of data to the administration of care. But that implies a massive societal shift in how we value labor. I mean, we have historically paid people for their cognitive output. How fast you calculate, how well you draft a brief. We are going to have to start paying people for their humanity.
Which is an incredibly difficult economic transition to orchestrate. Markets know how to value a legal document, but they struggle to put a price tag on empathetic patient counseling.
That is so true. And this brings us to a really critical crossroads in our deep dive.
Okay, where are we heading?
Well, if algorithms take over the routine tasks of our survival, our health, and our daily labor, you would think the one untouchable sanctuary left for humanity is our creativity, right? Our art.
You would think so, yes.
But the final segment of today's digest just shatters that assumption entirely.
We move from the purely functional applications of AI right into the deeply philosophical.
Yeah. The Force reports on an AI artist that has gained immense popularity for creating just stunning, complex visual artworks.
I've seen some of these. They are incredible.
And these are not internet memes. These are highly intricate pieces being celebrated and hung in physical galleries worldwide. Patrons are actually standing in front of canvases generated by code, and it is sparking an intense debate among fans about what art actually means in this new era.
The digest explicitly poses the idea that your next favorite artist might be an algorithm.
Which is just crazy to think about.
Yeah.
And it forces us to confront our own definitions of inspiration. When a machine produces something that evokes a genuine emotional response from a human audience, we have to ask where the value of the art truly lies.
It really does.
But I look at this and I honestly struggle to call it inspiration. To me, it seems like a highly complex algorithmic mirror.
A mirror, how so?
Well, this AI is trained on human art history. It ingests Da Vinci, Basquiat, every photograph ever taken, and then it relies on a diffusion model to essentially reverse engineer those pixels based on a text prompt.
Right.
It's statistical remixing. Is it actually creating anything, or is it just reflecting our own human genius back at us?
This raises an important question, and perhaps the most critical one of our time. How do we define the boundaries of human creativity? You call it statistical remixing, but we have to critically examine the biological process of a human artist, too.
Okay, but a human artist experiences life. They feel heartbreak, they see a beautiful sunset, they synthesize their lived experience onto a canvas. An algorithm doesn't feel anything.
Doesn't feel, no. But when a human artist attends an academy, what do? They study the brushstrokes of the masters, they learn color theory from past movements, they absorb the visual data of the world around them.
Sure, they study the path.
Right, their brain processes millions of inputs, which is their data set, and generates an output. The biological mechanism is different, obviously, but the conceptual framework of absorbing past data to generate future combinations is parallel. The algorithm is basically mapping the latent space of human aesthetics.
Wait, so you were arguing that all human art is, on some level, just biological remixing of our own training data?
I'm suggesting the line is far blurrier than we like to admit. And the debate highlighted in the source forces us to untangle the process of creation from the result of creation.
Meaning what exactly?
If the art is the struggle and the lived experience of the creator, then yes, the AI's output is meaningless. It is just an image. But what if the art exists in the observer?
Ah, the interpretation.
Yes.
If I stand in a gallery, completely unaware that a piece of code generated the painting in front of me, and that painting moves me to tears, my emotion is entirely real. The human experience of the art is authentic, regardless of the origin of the brushstroke.
Precisely. The AI acts as an instrument. The person who wrote the code or engineered the prompt is playing that instrument to evoke a reaction in you.
That makes a lot of sense.
The technology is blurring the lines between the creator, the tool, and the audience in a way we really haven't seen since the invention of the camera, which also disrupted the definition of visual art.
It strips away our arrogance, doesn't it? As we build these incredible systems to map the Earth and diagnose our brains, we are inevitably reverse engineering our own cognition. We're looking at our own creativity, broken down into mathematics and reflected back to us.
It's a very humbling mirror.
It really is. Let's step back and look at the trajectory of the dispatches we covered today.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah, for you listening, we started with the sheer scale of the planet. AI acting as an environmental early warning system, predicting disasters by finding nonlinear correlations across massive data sets, effectively shifting us from a reactive species to a proactive one.
Securing the physical world we inhabit.
Exactly. And from there, we looked inward at the microscale. The AI acting as an invisible specialist in the clinic, mapping the subtle biochemical degradations of our neural pathways to flag Alzheimer's long before physical atrophy occurs, buying us time.
Securing the biological vessels we live in.
Then we confronted the friction of the cognitive industrial revolution, the urgent, deeply complicated push for a fair transition in the workplace, forcing us to redefine human labor away from routine data processing and toward complex emotional and ethical management.
Securing the societal structures that sustain us.
And finally, we ended in the gallery, grappling with an algorithm that can generate masterpieces, championing our exclusive claim to creativity and forcing us to ask where the true value of art resides. It is a comprehensive rewiring of how we interact with every single layer of reality.
It is a profound transition, and as you, the listener, absorb all of these domains, the climate, the clinic, the economy, and the gallery, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Please do.
We spent a significant amount of time today debating the need to upskill the global workforce to survive the automation of routine tasks. But if AI can predict the storms that threaten our homes, if it can diagnose the diseases that threaten our minds, if it can do the labor that fills our days, and if it can even generate the art that moves our souls. Perhaps the most vital upskilling we need right now isn't technical or economic at all.
What kind of upskilling is left then?
Purely philosophical. As the boundary of what machines can do continually expands outward, the space left exclusively for humanity shrinks, but it also becomes vastly more concentrated. The ultimate challenge of the coming decade isn't learning how to compete with the algorithm. The challenge is figuring out what fundamentally makes us human and what gives our lives meaning, when the mere acts of survival, labor, and creation can be perfectly automated.
Wow, that is the ultimate question we are all going to have to answer for ourselves. Thank you for taking this journey with us today. To you listening, we hope this deep dive challenged your assumptions and gave you some new lenses through which to view the rapidly changing world. Keep questioning the systems around you, keep looking for the hidden connections, and never stop exploring. We will catch you on the next deep dive.